Hey everybody, and welcome back. For the third and last time for a while now, we have Alex Brown returning to the show. He is a professional working videographer based in Columbus, Ohio. He's been doing this for a few years now, and I hold him to be in high regard here. Today we're going to be talking about shooting video and what sort of things we like to do in order to spice up our shots. So, Alex, what are some things that you can suggest when you're out on location or maybe even in the studio? What do you do to make things more interesting?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned this in the last one, but I'll say it again because I think it's a valuable thing is to pick your head up from the monitor and look around you, and see what else is there, see what other angles, maybe leave your camera there and take a few steps to the left or to the right. Just walk around and look and see what else is there. See some different perspectives.
And following up exactly on that thought, I take that same type of approach, and I really like to take a look at what sort of details are unique to that location, or even better if you can swing it, unique to that day. If it's been a rainy day, that gives you the perfect opportunity to look for reflection shots on puddles that have formed on the ground. If it's a bright sunny day, well, that's going to have some different lighting conditions compared to if it was overcast. But really just looking for what's unique about that moment, that space, and really burrowing into it. On a shoot that I did not too long ago now, I noticed that on this running path, we were filming a running shoe review. There was some reflective surfaces used to make sure that people weren't running into traffic by accident. And I was able to incorporate one of those reflection shots into my shoot and into my edit. And I just thought that was a really cool moment. And it's because I got my head out of the monitor, like you were just talking about, Alex, and taking a look around to see what you can take advantage of.
Yeah, something I like to do before my shoots too. In a similar vein, you probably did this whenever you were getting that shot. But before I get, right when I get to a location, I like to just go, especially if it's a quick shoot and I haven't been there before or anything. I like to take a quick walk around and just scope out and see where I think the good shots would be before I start shooting and before I've even pulled my camera out or turned it on.
I do the same exact thing. We have not talked about any of this off camera. So it's really kind of amazing that we have the same approach. And I think that just goes to show how valuable it is to get your head out of that viewfinder, get it away from the screen, and just look around you. You don't need a camera to see what sort of cool shots you can get. Think about what looks cool even without a camera, just what looks visually appealing to your own eyes. You got two super high resolution, super high frame rate cameras right here. Use them. I was pointing to my eyeballs, Alex.
They shoot 20/20 vision.
Yeah, maybe for you, I'm not quite blessed enough to have that spec sheet, unfortunately. Can you talk about some creative shots that you maybe were able to pick up recently because you were using this fresh perspective?
Yeah, actually, so I was working on a project recently and we've already shot it once and we kind of weren't really liking what we got the first time, and we were just kind of like, it was really dull. For whatever reason, that the way that the color of the wall was, with the color of the floor, with the color that the talent was wearing, it literally looked like he was like this like 15-foot person, and there was like no depth to this shot. It was a really weird combination of like a lot of things.
I'm envisioning the Green Giant here. How close am I to the mark?
Yeah, not far off. It was just like, and it like, I mean, ultimately like it's fine. Like it doesn't like look weird. It's just like when you look at it for so long, you like notice all these like weird little things. And so we were kind of thinking about a reshoot, and these are kind of some how-to videos and stuff of that I've been working on, and we're going to be doing a lot of these. Uh, so I went down to our location and we were shooting in a gym, and I kind of just took a walk around, and just looked at some different angles without the camera, and just took a walk around. I looked at a few different things, and then I went and got my camera and I framed up a few shots. And I just looked for more things that would specifically allow the background to visually show more depth, and just different angles in the walls that wouldn't quite be as flat. I love myself a flat shot, but just I was challenging myself to find something that would be a little different than what I wanted to visually shoot.
I find it interesting that you like flat shots. I love depth so much, and it's the whole reason that I took the time and effort to flip my space around where I'm shooting with a deeper background here than I was before. In my previous setup, I was just right up against the desk and it's very flat. I love depth. I think it really helps to make your shots pop.
I love flat shots because I this, and again, this probably wasn't the best decision to shoot a product on. I love flat shots because I think it makes things mundane and it makes the character stand out more, versus the background and the environment. Like, that's important, but I think that flat shots isolate the character and bring more attention to them, which again was not the right decision for what I was shooting. So I should have thought about that before, but
It's really cool that we have this differing opinion on it, though. It just goes to show that creative taste is entirely subjective, of course. So talking about kind of tips and tricks for making our shots more interesting, the other thing that I've started doing since I started my current job and watched some more seasoned videographers doing this is making sure to add motion to your shots, especially like B-roll stuff, wherever you can. This is a medium of motion. We're not photographers here, or well, at least not entirely photographers here. Make use of that axis of time and get that movement going. It'll just really make your shots that much more interesting.
yeah, I agree. I think that if you're shooting something static, I think you should definitely be moving your camera, or you should be racking focus or something. Otherwise, you can shoot something that is a video, but it looks like it's like a photo, because there's nothing going on. And I think that if you're shooting on a tripod, just making sure that something is moving in your shot. Because I think that I think your mind can play tricks on you sometimes, and you can think a video as a photo because it's not moving.
And especially when you're so focused on composition and lighting, focus, some of these other factors can just kind of drop by the wayside when you're narrowing down on that monitor again. You're just seeing what's in front of you and not thinking about what can be added from outside the frame. And I really do think that that extra motion, whether it's the subject moving or the camera moving, will really help to improve your shooting. Now, the other thing that I like to do when it comes to specifically lighting is, again, sort of taking a step back, but thinking of your image more like a painting and kind of looking at it from a perspective of where can I be subtracting or adding light to make the image pop more. And when you start to think about it from that perspective and thinking about less what tools you have on hand and what you've always done before, I think that's another way that you can really step up your game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that, I mean, we are painting. We're painting with light. And you've got to figure out how to manipulate that light to create a beautiful image.
Do you think we sound pretentious yet? Because it's a little bit of a cliche. It's a little bit of a cliche to say painting with light, but I really do find that to be the case. And it's something I've been trying to pay so much more attention to lately than I used to before. When I was younger, I would never think about lighting. I would just plop down my camera and start recording. That's how it works. As long as it's in focus and I have audio that sounds clean or reasonably clean, then I've done my job, and the rest is just whatever happens, happens. But I really do enjoy paying attention to lighting these days. And even when I'm not shooting, I just love seeing light patterns on walls, giving it texture, giving it life, just looking around me.
One of the things that I was given advice on was to shoot at different focal lengths. Like, don't just, like if something interesting is going on, shoot it at 24, shoot it at 35, and shoot it at 50, because it may look better at 50 even though you started shooting it at 24. Or up to 70 or whatever. Just switch lenses or zoom into different focal lengths and get a shot of that process or whatever's happening at different lengths. And it's not always possible, especially when you're doing more on the fly stuff. But just trying to not just get one shot, like give yourself options to cut with.
Yeah, so I do think that's going to be a lot easier to do on a zoom lens. It's kind of hard unless you have multiple camera bodies to be swapping primes around like that.
That's extremely difficult, but it is possible I would say that's easier to do with process things than different things that are happening and just ongoing. If it's like someone sewing, like maybe like 20 shirts, it's easier to shoot it at 35 and then swap out a lens and get the shots at 50 and stuff like that. But it's definitely easier on a zoom lens because you can just go like this.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, my last trick that I like to use when I'm shooting to add more interest, and maybe you're going to take issue with this, is building on the idea of building depth into your shot. If I have a moving shot with a moving subject, I love to add foreground interest. So I will have foreground objects that are probably going to be out of focus while I'm tracking my subject. And maybe they'll be passing in and out of frame, or maybe just having like somebody walk in front of the subject. I just love adding additional layers to my shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a photographer friend that loves foreground elements. Always has a foreground element.
I'm going to take that to the next step, Alex. I'm going to start using 5 ground elements next.
I think you should have a foreground element in your video. Like maybe just have like a plant off to the side and just have like a leaf hanging in.
Funny enough, I did really try to have something like that on that running shoe review that I was doing recently. I was teaching a new videographer how to shoot these reviews, so I was free to be productive, we'll call it. So I found some leaves and I tried to drop them in front of the camera while we had this running shot going on just to add that foreground interest. And oh, it was terrible. I wouldn't recommend it, but it was something new to try.
Another helpful thing is going into your shoot with some inspiration, whether that's getting on Pinterest and looking at photos or watching some YouTube videos that are in a similar vein or even not in a similar vein to what you're doing. Just having a reference point to kind of put your own spin on, I think is a really helpful thing. Not to just go in blind and just shoot. I found that that's really difficult to do. It's not impossible, but not having any plan is really hard.
Yeah, what's that saying? Fail to plan, plan to fail, I think is what it is. So you definitely want to have...
Plagiarize everything?
Yeah, well, they say everything's been done before, so really we're just taking little bits and pieces and go plagiarism. Anyway, I think that's going to close it out for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Alex, for finding the time to do these interviews with us. We will catch you all in the next one. Bye.